Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the KnifeCenter, and it is, what time is it, Thomas? Our favorite time of the week.
Thursday.
Because the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves are on the table in front of me, therefore, let's get right into it. All right, first up this week, we've got a new exclusive that dropped just a couple of days ago. Real happy about this one, the CIVIVI Elementum 2. This is not the button lock Elementum, even though this is a button lock Elementum. Their naming structure got kind of convoluted with this whole series. The original button lock Elementum was a larger knife than the original Elementum. The Elementum 2 is sized like the original Elementum, but now with a button lock instead of the liner lock. The other main difference you'll see between the Elementum and the Elementum 2, apart from the lock difference, is because of that lock difference, the whole knife is just a little tiny bit thicker. It's not quite as slim as the original. But here it is with some exclusive upgrades here, the red and black G10 for one, and an S35 VN blade steel here. It's the same size and shape, just under 3 inches, high hollow grind, and the extra edge retention of the S35 VN on CIVIVI's famously thin and very sharp edges is a definite upgrade. The action on that button lock is tuned quite nicely. You can also wrist flick it by holding the button down, open or closed in a finger safe manner too, which is quite nice. Deep carry pocket clip milled into the handle itself, or a milled pocket in the handle for it to sit inside, and flush mounted screws to eliminate the possibilities of snagging when it's going back into your pocket. Great handle shape. It has a very neutral design to it, so even larger hands are gonna have no problems with it. As far as me, it's about a 3.5 finger grip is the way I've always described it, but that's in your kind of normal grip right behind the flipper tab, providing that index finger protection. For me, if I need a little more kind of meat behind my grip, I can choke up on that no problem, putting my index finger over that flipper tab, and then I can get a really nice gorilla grip on that knife. But the best part, I haven't mentioned the price yet, Thomas.
I guess not.
Just under $100 for this, $99.95, with a pretty sweet blade steel upgrade right there, and a pretty good value for an S35 VN knife. There are a few that are cheaper out there in the grand scheme of things, but it's still sitting, I think, at a very good level. Now let's talk real quick about a word I mentioned there, finger safe, in relation to the button lock. We've actually got a lot of finger safe things on the table this week, just coincidentally, so it's a good opportunity to just talk about it briefly. That's not to say other locking mechanisms that we don't refer to as finger safe can't be operated safely. It's just a term we kind of invented and started using here. Not that we invented the words finger safe, but we started using it in relation to locks that would allow you to close the blade without your fingers ever crossing the path, the closing path of that sharpened edge. And it's just inherently gives you a little extra step of safety because there's no possibility, or much less likely, to have something in the way, unlike a liner lock or a frame lock or something like that. So let's talk about the other finger safe things we've got on the table. If you like the red and black of this Elementum 2, and you like the S35 VN, but maybe G10's not your jam, how about the Kizer Hyper? Coming in a little bit more expensive, 119 bucks, but you get a 3-inch S35 VN blade, black and red aluminum handles here. Interestingly, a few different colors can be had on this, and we've got some just handle replacement sets as well, straight from Kizer official parts, which is pretty cool. You get a modified sheep's foot blade as opposed to the drop point blade of that CIVIVI right there. Give you a little bit more kind of tip control when dragging that blade backwards using the tip in that fashion, and you can get some pretty strong cuts out of it too. Black coating here again, high flat grind, button lock again, quite nice. No flipper tab, but the thumb studs work great, and the wrist flicking works great too. Fairly deep carry pocket clip on this. It's actually nested inside the handle scales there, or handles there, not scales technically. Slightly frustrating actually. I didn't find a second pocket clip in the package, but it looks like it should be able to accept a left-handed pocket clip. You can't just flip this one around because you know, with the angled handle there, it wouldn't quite work. I'm kind of disappointed they didn't include a second one. Maybe give them a call if you want a left-handed pocket clip on one of these, because lefties can certainly use a button lock quite easily. But it's pretty cool. Feels nice. The action's good. There you go. Check them out. Next up, we have the ProTech Whiskers. It's been a while since I've seen one of these. In fact, the Stonewash blade versions at the time we're filming this have already sold out, but we do have the black DLC at the moment. We'll see if we can't get more of the other finishes as well. $360 for this knife. You've got a 3 3/4 inch blade, very cool sweeping profile, a lot of belly there, but a very acute tip at the same time. So you got a lot of precision there. 154 cm steel, aluminum handles, deep carry pocket clip, inset with flush mounted screws. Now the trick with this thing is, how do it work though? No button, as is a typical ProTech, you know, no button lock firing action or button firing action here. Instead, oh, what did I just do? It's magic, I tell you. Sorry, I'll continue. The actual opening action is achieved by rotating this front scale. Not up here near the pivot, actually here near the back. Anchor your fingers on the pocket clip and the edge of, or corner of the frame on the back, and then push. Well, I'll demonstrate it without, you know, doing it in hand first so you see what's going on. It's that bottom half, as you can see, push that down, and that kind of lifts the locking backspace or lock bar up, releasing the blade, which is under spring tension. And when you're just pulling it out of the pocket, the way you would typically be doing that, like I said, is anchoring your hands on the back side of that knife and pushing with the ball of your, what's this part?
Heel.
The heel of your thumb, right? Anatomists, weigh in, let us know. But you push on it with the back side of your, or bottom side of your thumb right there, essentially, part of your palm. And it is pretty intuitive once you get used to it. I'm not used to it, as you can see, but pull it out, squeeze in just the right way, and you're ready to go. Very, very cool. I should mention that this is a collaboration with Mike Allen, Mike Whiskers Allen himself. And that's why this is the Whiskers Magic. So check them out. Very, very cool indeed. And finger safe, because, you know, yeah.
Okay.
Next up, shall we look at another finger-safe knife? Well, we don't have much choice. There's a lot of finger-safe knives on the table, like I said. Here we have the Sandrin Monza, a new color variant, very similar to the existing titanium version. This one has kind of a more matte gray. They call it space gray, as opposed to the brighter titanium finish of the other version. Price on this is $469. This is made in Italy, and a lot of that is going towards the exotic blade material here. Notice I did not say steel. This is actually a polyhedral tungsten carbide. And whereas most, when you think of most kind of tungsten carbide materials, the worry is they might be a little brittle. That's where Sandrin's proprietary formula comes in. They're able to actually maintain a decent amount of toughness on, you know, this material. Not necessarily something as like the toughest steels out there, but certainly up to pocket knife duty without having to worry too badly about, you know, chipping out your edge real badly. And the upside of that is you get something with absolutely insane edge retention. Holds an edge what feels like forever, I would say. When it does come to resharpen it, you're definitely going to need something like diamond abrasives and, you know, light pressure and some patience to get it done, but it should be a fairly infrequent thing. It's a very elegant profile to the blade too, I've always maintained. About 3.4 inches. Reminds me a bit of a little bit of the Sebenza and kind of its profile, its vibes. Of course, the Sebenza is known for being almost obnoxiously tough compared to something like this, but you take my drift, I hope. Nice and slim to carry, slimmer than the Sebenza. We have the spine-mounted Snex designed lock that they've borrowed from him there. Very nice. You can do the wrist flick stuff with it quite nicely, or you can just be a little more deliberate, a little more, or a little less flashy if you want. Reversible deep carry pocket clip, cast clip, I think. I don't think this is milled. I think this is actually cast, but it is a solid piece of metal, not a typical bent style of clip right there. Inset with flush screws, reversible, which is great because this is a perfectly ambidextrous knife, executed very, very well. Next up, and going fast, the new polymer handled versions of the Microtech MSI. We got a new batch that should be dropping right about the time this video does. And I'm pretty sure they are not going to last very long at all because they have been flying out of the building. The Microtech MSI in polymer, in plain edge right now, but you can get it in partial serrated or full serrated variants. The more serrations it has, the more expensive the knife is. This one right here coming in $176 for the plain edge version. And for what you're getting for that money, it's not even kind of, it is an absolute shot across the bow of stuff like the Benchmade bug out, which is, you know, above the 160 mark right now for the least expensive full-size version. For less than 15 bucks more, you're getting more blade, you're getting more premium blade steel. This is M390 MK, Microtech's proprietary blend of M390 from Bowler. It's nearly 4 inches long, thicker, so there's a lot more material and a lot more, you know, potential performance in that right here. Polymer handles, Microtech's ram lock, which operates like a crossbar lock, like the Axis lock, but it doesn't function like one. Instead, it's this nice solid chunk, almost a billet of steel driven forward by a single coiled spring right there as opposed to mega springs. There's a lot you're getting here compared to some of the competition on the market. It just has to be said. And plus it's a pretty darn cool knife. And since when have I been able to say, I don't think ever, that a Microtech is actually the bargain proposition in its potential competitive range? It's true. These things are sweet. The action on them is excellent, finger safe as you can see, flickable. You can use the thumb cutout for your alternate opening methods if you wish. Deep carry pocket clip, which is reversible. No flush mounted screws here. They are proud a little bit, but there is a decent amount of kind of clearance right there. The grip is great. You've got essentially a molded pattern that mimics Microtech's proprietary fasteners, which aren't found on this knife. These are, you know, adjustable with your typical Torx construction, or your typical Torx drivers, I should say. But this has the feel of just a solid working knife. And a knife with Microtech style too. So take your pick, whichever kind of blade style you'd like. The fully serrated ones, I think honestly look better and fit the character of the knife more, even though I would go with the plain edge personally, because I'm just a plain edge guy. It's hard to go wrong. Pick your poison and check it out. MSI stands for Microtech Standard Issue. Hadn't mentioned that yet.
Good job.
And really, I mean, at this price and everything, it even, you know, it kind of lives up to that kind of standard issue billing even more. You know, we thought the news when they unveiled the G10 versions of this at SHOT Show earlier this year and said they were going to be $250, that was big news. This at $175, I think, is even more noteworthy. Next up, a couple more polymer handled knives. These are not made in America like the Microtech. These are imported. Some new Almar. This is the Payara. 2 versions of it. We have the 3¼ inch bladed version and a 2.8 inch bladed version here. That's the same profile, just scaled up or down. Just over 40 bucks for the standard or the small version, and 42 and some change for the larger version. 3¼ as I said, D2 steel right here, polymer handles, reversible clip, crossbar lock that's tuned pretty nicely. It's maybe not quite as free-floating as some, but not bad at all. And it certainly has the feel like it's going to break in. These are running on typical washers right here. Those typically will kind of get smoother over time. In a way, this kind of gives me vibes, even though this it's not a direct one-for-one kind of translation, but it gives me vibes kind of like the old Ontario Eutektik knives, which is pretty neat. But yeah, aggressive kind of Tonto profile. You got a bit of recurve there to increase your cutting power, especially on the pull strokes. The little pops of blue there on the thumb stud and crossbar lock. Jazz it up just a little bit. Solid budget offering, not too thick, so it keeps the price and the weight down. Same with the handles. You know, injection molded, keeping the weight down, not too thick. Nice neutral shape here as well. Even larger hands should have no problem. Slightly banana shaped, pretty darn good feeling. Small version, the story is the same, it's just a little bit smaller. just barely get all 4 of my fingers on that knife, no problem. Yeah, there's a lot to like about this for the price, quite honestly. You can check out, there's some other Almar stuff that just hit the site too, bringing some of the titanium versions into a stainless steel format, bringing the price way down, so you can check those out as well. But those are pretty neat. But yeah, for your budget crossbar locks, things are getting better. These are a good example right here. It's bringing the right kind of steel you want to see into the genre. The next one, actually several, should kind of back up this next point. Boker and their Magnum sub brand, which has always kind of been their very entry-level stuff. Then you got the Boker Plus stuff, which is still affordable, but a step up, and then the full fat Boker stuff getting a lot more expensive. Well, they're doing a lot this year to try and bring that Magnum brand even more, or have it be even more competitive with a lot of the other entry-level stuff in the market. And I think these back it up. First is the Rockstub right here, a crossbar locking knife for just $34, even less than this Almar right here. You're not getting D2 at that price point. In fact, you're not getting any particularly noteworthy steel at all, but you are getting a solidly constructed knife. I mean, the action is great. It's better than the Almars even. We've got ball bearings in this pivot. I mean, it clicks and clacks in all the right ways, exactly how you want it to. 440B steel here, like I said, nothing kind of setting the world afire, but solid budget stuff. 2.65 inches on the blade, perfectly versatile drop point, micarta handles, check that out, and a deep carry pocket clip. Not reversible, which is unfortunate because everything else is ambidextrous here. So if you're a lefty and want to carry this, you're gonna have to carry it quote unquote backwards on the left side. But man, everything about it, I'm not blowing smoke, guys. This feels excellent. I can get all 4 of my fingers on it when I need to for the Gorilla Grip by choking up, but 3-finger knife otherwise. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. You may remember me talking about these, showing these on our Blade Show coverage this year. It was Blade Show with Boker, I think.
One of those. That
we saw this knife. Good, like golf clap, guys. It's really good. We've also got a new button lock from them. The Border Forest is the name of this one. $32, bigger, 440A steel in this case. 3.4 inches on the blade. Nice straight clip point, but the action is good. Flips nicely. It's finger safe. You can wrist flick it. Plenty of handle length on there. 4 fingers for me without even trying with my slightly larger than average hands. No problem whatsoever. Almost a deep carry pocket clip. It is reversible. You've got a G10 backspacer. You've got micarta for the handle scales. Really, for like most knife enthusiasts, the only kind of downside would maybe be that 440A steel. But for the people who might only have $32 to spend on a knife, you're getting a lot here, quite honestly, for the other materials that are in use on this design. So it's a balancing act. Do you go more premium on the handles or go cheaper on the handles and more up on the steel? It's good to have both options on the market. So it's really cool. It's really cool. These are better feeling than most Magnums I'm used to feeling in the past. And this next one especially, if it didn't say Magnum on it, I would never have suspected. This is a limited edition Magnum, or a collector's edition Magnum for 2023. It comes in at $200 and it is a Lucas Burnley collaboration. I may be wrong about this, but I don't know of any other Magnum Boker knives that are designer collaborations either. If you know of one, let me know in the comments, because that's a noteworthy thing too. Honestly, the quality of this, it reminds me a lot of like the old Mercworks fixed blades that you used to see, or still can see actually nowadays. D2 steel, just under 7 inches long, micarta handles, really nicely sculpted, really nicely finished along with tang, just superb. The grinds are excellent, up there with any non-budget brand out there. Like anything in this price range, it's definitely going toe-to-toe on the fit and finish department for real. I'd call it a saber height flat grind, long swedge. This is going for a bit more of that kind of beefy, strong tactical vibes right here, I would say. The feel in the hand is excellent. I mean, just nice and hand filling. You could choke back a little bit thanks to the design of the little hook right there. You can bring 1 or 2 fingers back, especially if you add a lanyard here, get a little more chopping power out of it. Super nice. The sheath is leather. It is robust, and it comes with an extra strap for, well, not for extra retention, but a strap for retention. 2 snaps, in fact, to hold it in place. Pardon my clumsiness. Always a little tight out of the box, but that's what you want because that is going to stretch just a little bit. Flap or drop loop there for your belt. Super classy package. Next up, we've got a new version of the Benchmade Raghorn that actually dropped earlier today. Here it is. It is unlike the original S30V blade steel, but also unlike the original, it is an uncoated blade. The original ones came with crewwear blade steel with a bright orange coating and carbon fiber handles. This one is the less fancy, more kind of work-a-day thing. Although I kind of wish they kept the crewwear and went with the stonewashed finish. S30V is fine. I carry an S30V. Actually, 2 of my most carried EDCs are still S30V. But it'd be nice to see something a little more interesting, perhaps. But anyway, get right down to it, though. The blade itself, the geometry here is absolutely stunning. It's fantastic. This is a 4-inch blade. Thickness right in front of the, or right where the plunge line comes up to the spine, like 0.9 or 0.09, 0.9 inches would be pretty thick. 0.9 inches there. Full flat, very, very slicey indeed. Love the stonewashed finish too. It looks great and it's gonna look good even when it starts to get scuffed up. This is just a phenomenal slicer, whether you're using it as a hunting knife, which the series is kind of intended to be, or as just an everyday slicey fixed blade. Might not be my first choice for self-defense, probably more due to the lack of the finger guard in that case though. It could pull it off, but this is just food prep, hunting, everyday sliciness. If those are what you want, this could be a very good choice for you. Got plenty of traction where you need it, jimping out there near the front if you need to bring your fingertip up, jimping under the thumb and in the finger choil area. Serrations essentially here on the side. You call them serrations, right? It's kind of like the patterning you'd get on like a semi-automatic pistol, the slide grip cuts right there, milling, whatever you want to say. It gives you a little bit of extra traction when doing the pinch grip, which is aided by the nice scooped away section on the G10 handles there to make that pinching very, very easy. And my favorite part, right up there with my other favorite part being the edge or blade geometry itself. Check out the shape of those G10 handles. Super, super comfy. 2 pieces screwed on from either side, crenellated spine at the back, but it doesn't get in the way comfort-wise. This is just a sweet, agile, nimble, manipulatable knife. Very, very cool. Sheath-wise, it does come with one. You will need to provide your own sheath or own belt attachment, however, but thanks to the hole and slot arrangement, pretty much any aftermarket thing is going to work pretty well, whether it be a tech lock, a T-clip, ulti clips, a lot of that other stuff. You got some versatility right there. Price on these, $270. As mentioned, that knife dropped today. These next ones are dropping tomorrow, and it's the newest version of the Jack Wolf laid back jack. This is the second run of the laid back jack, and it's got some pretty cool tweaks to it versus the first version. And not only that, some pretty cool kind of evolutionary steps in the whole lineup, kind of introducing some new things. All of them are going to be $300. They've got an all titanium plain Jane version as well as this jigged titanium version. First time I've seen those on any of the Jack Wolf knives. Also the first time I've seen a horizontal kind of hand rub style finish right here, as opposed to the typical belt finish that they've come with so far. So already some pretty cool things. Blade shape is straight up Wharncliffe paired with the sway back style handle. 2.9, yeah, just over 2.8 inches on the blade length. Full height hollow grind. It's still hollow, right? Yeah, still a hollow grind. S90V, great edge retention on a traditional pattern like this. The walk and talk is superb, very nice, and also finger safe. Everything we've looked at today so far is finger safe, you guys. Even the fixed blades. And I know this is a feature I tend to talk about a lot because I appreciate it. I think a lot of that, personally, this is story time now, comes back to when I first started using knives, first started being trusted with knives by the adults in my lives.
Just the one life, actually.
The adults in my life. And I was taught the proper way to close a slip joint knife, which is what I was being given at the time and was trusted with at the time. It was with 2 hands, like so. So your fingers are never getting in the way of the blade. The half stop on this certainly helps, accidental over travel there if you are accidentally in front of there, but that was the way I was taught. So that was something I always appreciated and was always kind of on my radar when looking at other styles of knives out there. So maybe that's where it came from. I just thought of that right here as I was looking at these.
Not scripted at all.
They think we script these things? If that was the case, we don't do a very good job. Yeah, so that's my finger safe thought of the day. But I want to show you 2 more variants. Usually I'll show you like 1 variant of the several that are dropping with each Jack Wolf drop. But there's some other kind of firsts going on too. First time I can remember seeing wood handles on any of the Jack Wolves. These are rosewood. I wasn't sure they were Cocoa Bull or not. Yeah, rosewood handle scale. So you get that kind of modern traditional with a little more being pulled up from the traditional side of things onto the modern. Still titanium with the full titanium integral bolsters right there. Action is still good, walk and talk I should say, very excellent. And the other one that's super eye-catching is this Kieranite version right here. Check that bad boy out. Black DLC on the S90V right here, purple wave Kieranite, black DLC on the titanium and the back spacer as well. Just gorgeous, man, just super, super stunning looking. Really cool to see them kind of bringing new flavors to their tried and true formula, which has been pretty successful so far. Speaking of their tried and true, the packaging is still up to the super high standards that they use. Aluminum tube, custom illustrated artwork for each knife model. Still comes with the leather pocket slip, the stickers, the microfiber cloth, the POG using that artwork on the inside. Super, super nice. And then all this comes in a box too, so this is nice and protected as well. Really, really cool stuff. Keep an eye out for those tomorrow. If, in fact, you're watching this on the day the video posts, which is a Thursday, the Friday immediately after. If you're watching this in the future, I'm sorry, I can't help you, unfortunately. Next up, we have an X Series Enrique Peña knife. These are made by Riot for Enrique, translating his custom designs into a more attainable price point. I'm not gonna say cheap or necessarily even affordable price point. These are $274, but coming from Enrique, this would probably be like an $800 to $1,000 knife if he were making it. So it's definitely more affordable on that front. Just under 3 inches on the blade, 2 7/8 in fact. M390 high hollow grind there. Really cool signature, clipped off Warncliffe shape, or clipped off sheep's foot, like the sheep's cliff shape. I know you want to say it, Thomas.
Don't have to, it's in the comments.
If you want to call this a reverse Tonto, I wouldn't fight you too much. I'd say this is more reverse Tonto than a Benchmade 940, which coined the term anyway. But it's a cool blade shape. How's it going to behave and how you actually cut things? It's going to behave like a sheep's foot, you guys. That's why I say modified or clipped off sheep's foot. Anyway, we don't need to get into that today. It's fine. Similarly to the laid back jack we just looked at, it has a bit of a sway back DNA in the handle right here. That works really well in reverse grips especially, but it's not so sway backed that it doesn't work in your forward grips. Black micarta bolster style frame lock here with the integral titanium bolster there. Works really nicely. We have a top flipper, which can use your thumb to do quite nicely, and index finger also works super well. I love, typically across the board, the way Enrique designs these top flippers across all of his knives. I've always found them very easy to use, when in fact many top flippers and front flippers I can be a little clumsy with sometimes, but that's never been the case for me with Enrique's design, so that's very, very cool. Milled titanium pocket clip, Riot construction as mentioned, so everything is world class. The fit and finish is spot on across the board. Next up, we've got a couple of fixed blades, a couple of Toor knives. This one being the first, made in USA. This is the M.U.F, the Maritime Utility Fighter Diving Knife. 4¼ inch blade, S35 VN, spear point shape, high flat grind, not serrations. You might see that and go, oh, it's partially serrated. They're calling these edge breaks. Essentially, they're not sharpened. They're essentially, adding a little bit of kind of sawing style power to it, because especially if you're working with rope, kind of the fibrous material there will probably climb up into that gap a little bit, and then the edge of the actual sharpened point will kind of help saw through things a little more easily. Not quite the same as actual serrations, but a lot easier to maintain a sharp edge than on serrations. Serrations, of course, last a long time, but they do eventually go dull. This one you just sharpen like a normal pocket knife. Lay it on your stone at your preferred angle and go. You're good to go. So that's pretty neat, pretty interesting take on it there. I like the nice dark stone washed finish on there. The G10 handles are on the slimmer side, but still offer enough grip for most folks. If you're wearing diving gloves, it might get a little small depending on how large your hands are, but of course your mileage may vary. Let me throw the sheath onto this here to demonstrate the rest of it. Here it is. It is Kydex, and it comes with a bungee strap here, which hooks into the bottle opener portion, making this a multi-tool. And then as far as attaching this to your gear, doesn't come with any belt attachment hardware, although like the Benchmade, because we're dealing with holes and slots, a lot of versatility, a lot of different things will work there. They've actually intended this clip here on the spine to thread through the rest of your gear, whether it's on a pack, on your person, what have you. That is the intended carry method right there. Let me know what you think down there in the comments. But the retention on the Kydex is fine. This gives you even more retention thanks to that bungee right there. Check it out, pretty cool. Next up from Toor, we have the Backcountry Field 3.0 in Backcountry Blaze. Sorry, this is the Field 3.0. Very cool combination right here. 250 bucks. Did I mention the price on the other one? $295 on the M.U.F. The blade here is 3 5/8 of an inch. I'm driving the Imperial or the metric people crazy right now. 3.625 inches of CPM 154. There are some other handle materials and blade finishes going on, but this is the most kind of stereotypically outdoorsy, shall we say. Orange G10, kind of a blue-gray finish on that blade itself. That finish is KG Gun Coat with a K, K-O-T-E in fact. In fact, everything about it is spelled wrong, but that's what it is. That's correct. Very durable finish. We've actually seen Chris Reeve use this in the past on some of our KnifeCenter exclusives, which are sadly no longer available, but very durable stuff. As far as the feel in the hand, this is a little bit less, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit less aggressive in its texture than some of their other fixed blades. You still have plenty of traction right there. If you were going to be spending, an hour or so at a time doing carving projects with this, I would still probably want to wear a pair of gloves, but this is a bit less aggressive than some of the things they've come out with in the past. Super, super solid overall. Looks like about 3/32 of an inch, or 3/16 of an inch on the thickness. Yes, correct. So very durable stuff. CPM 154 is plenty tough for your outdoor uses. Versatile shape, whether it's campfire side tasks or hunting especially. This is a good size for a small hunting knife. You can get your fingertip out there. A lot of good stuff going on there. The sheath is leather textured Kydex. Again, you will need to bring your own belt attachment, and this one doesn't have slots, so let's check real quick. Large tech lock fits that whole spacing perfectly. Next up, we have from Liong the Eutektik brand Trinity. Is finally here in greater quantities, and we're very happy about that. For this, you're paying about 85 bucks. You're getting a 3 3/4 inch blade of Sandvik's 14C 28N. Really cool clip point shape with a high flat grind, not too thick either, so this is going to be a very slicey beast indeed. Plenty of handle length, G10. This is the OD green version, but a bunch of different colors right now, including orange, a gray, which is technically blue. It's blue, but it's technically gray, I guess I should say. The gray has a lot of blue in it, is what I'm trying to get at. Jade, a few different colors. Black, of course. Yes, it also comes in black. But like I said, plenty of handle length there. Nice nice deep carry pocket clip. Inset, not flush mounted screws in this case, but decent enough clearance there. And it is called Trinity because there are 3 ways or 3 different opening mechanisms for this knife. You've got your flipper tab, and it works great. Ball bearings in the pivot, as you probably expected. You've got the top flipper, which, again, I told you, I'm often awkward at these, but that works pretty nicely. I haven't even tried it with the front index finger yet, and that works great. That is your second option, and the third, of course, is the blade cutout. You can use it as a typical thumb opener, or it's the internet. We all want to reverse flick the knives anyway, right? So there you go. You can do all of that. It's put together really, really nicely, and hopefully we'll see some of the other models coming in soon. They're all built to a very similar standard, which bodes quite well. And last but not least, we'll end on another affordable knife, the Bestechman Mini Dundee by Ostap. Really cool, just a basic pocket knife in all the best ways you can imagine. 43 bucks just underneath that, with a 3-inch D2 blade. You can get it coated or uncoated, and you can get several different G10 handle colors for it. Really, really nicely done. The liner lock is inset. Nice little touch right there. Actually, same thing on the Eutektik. Takes a little bit more milling to do that than just slapping a flat liner on there, so that's always cool. It's almost got, actually, I'm gonna say it's got a bit of that executive knife style to it. Kind of right on the outside edge of that, I would say. But it flips really nicely. The blade nearly completely disappears when it is closed. We do have dual fullers on this knife, which will allow you to pinch kind of nicely because you don't have to worry about a frame lock. You can even be putting some pressure on the handle there when you go to do that. So it makes it easy enough. Maybe if you have slightly smaller fingers than I do. Should I try to reverse flick it, Thomas?
Might as well.
It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work for me. No, I got nothing. Yeah, no, not for me.
Someone can.
Some of you folks might be a little more successful than myself. I love what Ostap does. His stuff is so clean. He's got a very distinctive style at this point too. I think he's done a real good job of establishing that. And this works really well on what's otherwise a fairly simple profile, but you can still tell it's an Ostap design because of those key little touches. Dig it. Deep carry pocket clip, almost deep carry. Flush mounted or flush head screws inset into the scales and reversibility with some extra screws there on the front too. Really well done. Yeah, I dig it. I don't even remember seeing the full-size Dundee before, but I'm assuming we have that. I don't know. Yeah, we do have the standard Dundee as well. It's the same shape, just a little bit bigger, about 3.35 inches as opposed to, what did I say, 2.8, 2.9. So take your pick. If you need something under 3 inches, or if you just like a good compact knife, this is impressive. Works really well. And then you can get a larger one if you want. But that's it for this week. Thanks for sticking around. Let me know what you thought of the knives in the comments section below. And to get your hands on any of them, check out the links in the description. Those will take you to KnifeCenter.com, where we're real proud of our long-running Knife Rewards program, which gives you some free money for your future knives when you pick up one of these knives today. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center, and that's Thomas behind the camera. We're signing off. See you next time.